What if the best way to get young people excited about cyber wasn't a textbook or a lecture, but a game? In this episode of Cyber Chats, we're sitting down with someone who didn't just ask that question, she built the answer. From founding one of the most talked about cyber competitions in the country to leading initiatives that are opening doors for the next generation of defenders, our guest is proof that protecting the digital world can start with play. We're getting into all of it, how games build the kind of thinking that hackers and defenders actually need, why cybersecurity is the ultimate team sport, and what it really takes to make this field welcoming for young people who didn't even know that they belong here. Whether you're a parent, a student, an educator, or just someone who's curious about the future of cyber talent, this episode is for you. Stick around because this one will change how you think about both gaming and security. Welcome to Cyber Chats, a podcast made by the National Cryptologic Foundation. I'm your host, Kennedy Taylor, and together we'll be demystifying the world of cybersecurity by talking with amazing cyber enthusiasts like you, as well as industry professionals. Be sure to like and subscribe to our podcast on your favorite podcast platform. We have the pleasure of welcoming someone who has spent over 25 years at the intersection of engineering, cybersecurity, and perhaps surprisingly, game design. She's led cybersecurity teams, contributed to national cyber standards, and built businesses from the ground up. But what really sets her apart is how she's chosen to tackle one of the biggest challenges facing our industry today, the cybersecurity talent gap. In 2019, Jessica Gulick launched PlayCyber, a social impact initiative using games and live events to raise awareness and funding for workforce development. Then in 2021, in collaboration with the National Initiative for Cybersecurity Education, or NICE, she co-founded the U.S. Cyber Games, a competitive program designed to discover, develop, and inspire the next wave of cyber talent in a way that's inclusive and community-driven. She also serves as president of the board of the Women's Society of Cyber Jitsu, championing diversity and inclusion in the field, and sits on the Bay Path University of Cyber Education Board. A Virginia Tech MBA alumni and self-described growth hacker, she has a rare ability to bridge the worlds of business strategy, cybersecurity expertise, and hands-on education. I'm really excited for this one. Jessica Gulick, welcome to the show. We are thrilled to have you today on Cyber Chats. Now, you've had this fascinating career arc from managing cybersecurity programs at major government contractors to now founding your own ventures around gaming and talent development. What moment or experience first made you think games are the key to fixing the cybersecurity workforce problem?
What a great question to open up with. I would say, oh gosh, it must have been more than a decade ago. I was actually standing in a football stadium outside in the middle of the summer in Virginia, watching my son at a football combine. And I remember watching kind of the process of the players by the hundreds coming in, getting their profiles done, and then walking through a series of sessions where they were evaluated based on their speed, how high they could jump, their agility, a number of different things. And I just remember standing there and thinking, wow, what if this was cybersecurity? What if hundreds of students were coming in and we were evaluating them on their capabilities, their core capabilities, in terms of web security, cryptography, incident response, et cetera? How fun it would be. And how many more people we could bring into this field. And that really started me down the path of what would happen if we combined athletics, esports, and cybersecurity, or tech, if you will, in order to really help prepare the next generation. And from there, many years now, I've discovered and learned so much and am a big advocate for cybersecurity as a sport.
That's amazing. And I love that you brought up football because I feel like you're right. I think that cyber as a game makes it in a way more interesting. It allows you to challenge yourself. And in this world today where everything is a game, right? Video games have taken over the world in many ways, I feel like, and simulations for training. I think that's incredible. And, very excited to have you today to talk more about it. Now, I did some digging on you. And I'll say I read an article, I found it from your Virginia Tech. There's a story on you. It was really incredible to read. But one thing I noticed is that a lot of people in cybersecurity come from very technical backgrounds, coding, even networking, that kind of thing. But you talked openly about not being a coder yourself. How has it shaped the way you approach education and workforce development? And what message do you think it sends to people that are considering the field?
I hope it expands the population of people that can come into cybersecurity. For the last, I would say, 20 some years, cybersecurity has really evolved into an ecosystem. And it's a very unique ecosystem in terms of the us versus them, the psychographics, the mission, the ability to protect. All these aspects mean that it's no longer just a career field and just a technical area. Uh, it is really a calling. And my background being educationally not as technically focused as many and not being a coder, but I grew up in a house where the day I was born, there was a computer in my house, right? So I grew up around computers my entire life. It's never been foreign to me. And it's always been something that I really appreciate and respect. And throughout my career, I've really kind of played that role of um, being that bridge of communication between technical and executives. And really, that I would think flipped about 10 years ago, where instead of being the person who helps communicate the technical aspects to the executive. Now, really, what I want to do is start showcasing the amazing technical skills that people have and really celebrating it and celebrating the ethical hacker, if you will, rather than trying to just cover the sexiness of the cyber attacks and the bad hackers out there.
Amazing. For people hearing about PlayCyber and the US Cyber Games for the first time, can you break it down for us? What actually happens at these events and what does the experience look like for a young person participating?
So the U.S. Cyber Games program is a nationwide scouting program to find the brightest out there to really be part of an esports team that competes globally on behalf of the nation against countries, over 60 countries that form about 7 teams in the International Cybersecurity Challenge League. And we have a program that runs by season, so very much like a sport, like a college sport. We have our open tryouts. And in fact, season 6 open tryout starts June 4th. And
Oh,
we'll run
wow.
about a week and a half for the competitive CTF. And then we'll go into our combine. Again, similar to sports, but instead of evaluating your physical skills, we're evaluating your cognitive skills. We're taking a look at your technical capabilities, your emotional intelligence, your ability to team, your ability to be coached, etc. Over a 6-week process. Our coaches and mentors are engaging, helping to have some teaching moments, but really there to evaluate and scout the talent that the nation has to offer. And then we go into our draft, and our draft, like the NFL draft, is where the coaches start talking about what's the plans for the next year, what have we learned from the last year, what talent do we want to bring back to the team? Because every year the team has to recompete for their spot on the team. And then it's a matter of going into training season and then competing at various different games around the world and the nation. And the idea here is really to create that inspirational top team, ages 16 to 26, to really inspire those that maybe are in middle school or high school, and they're taking a look at, I'm doing cyber games now, where can I go with this? They now have a pathway where they can try out for the national team. And then we compete internationally, and that in and of itself is an amazing experience for the cyber athletes in that they get to network with peers from around the world that, 10 years from now, they might have a work relationship with, because they are the top talent from around the world, and with our allied nations, and with corporations, et cetera. They're going to have that network that we didn't have that ability to cultivate when we were growing up. And they get to see firsthand what are the different perspectives on cybersecurity from the different nations, and how do they communicate what's important to them. Is privacy over security, or is it, how do you define fair play, or how do you strategize, or is it more important to have attack and defense skills or to have more research skills? It's fascinating to see them really open up to the global cybersecurity stage, and be able to connect with people, and hopefully open up career opportunities.
You talked about traveling internationally, and I know before this call you briefly mentioned some of the places that you'll be going this summer. What are some of the incredible, countries the students have had the opportunity to travel to?
Well, we just came back from Australia, like literally just last week, where we got second place at the International Cybersecurity Challenge. That was fantastic. We've been to Athens, Greece. We've been to Vienna. We've gone to Norway.
Oh
Last
my
year, we were in
goodness.
Warsaw, Poland. We've gone to Tokyo, Japan. So it has been an eye-opener, and a wonderful experience.
That's amazing. Now, you mentioned the word team a few times. It's a team sport, not an individual one. Can you talk about how the game format actually teaches team dynamics, communication, knowing your teammates' strengths, what you bring to the table in a way that maybe classroom instruction does not?
Absolutely. In fact, I've been talking a lot about this. It is really this focus in on cognitive skills. So the way we look at it is we evaluate for your technical skills, your workplace skills, which is the communication and teamwork and leadership that you're talking about, and then your cognitive skills, your ability to condition your mind in order to have the intuition and instinct to find indicators and warnings on the network and know how to react to them. Um, it is all about team. So CTFs, or capture the flags, do a great job of evaluating and encouraging people on the technical side of things. But when we start to sportify it, when we add a coach, when we add constraints of time, when we start putting on pressures at the global stage, and really start to create more of a sport, now we're really conditioning the human mind, and we're giving them new skills. So these are different than workplace skills in its logic and reason, pattern matching, your ability to have situational awareness, to be able to adapt from kind of the big picture. Where do I need to triage on Jeopardy challenges, to down to the tactical of at what how and when do I use AI to complete this challenge? But then that teamwork piece of it really helps to pull all that together. And that's where I think our team this year has done fantastic. And it takes a few years to really kind of storm and form, if you will. But the teamwork aspect of it really goes more into knowing the strengths of those on your team, and when to ask for help, how to what we call love your passes. Love your passes is a basketball phrase. It's all about appreciating. It's not about how you want to pass the information, it's how the other person can receive it. So if you understand your teammates' ability to communicate with them so that you can quickly, in just a few minutes, communicate, this is the challenges, I know it, and this is everything I've tried, this is where I failed, and have them be able to take that on and say, got it, I've got this, I'll take this and run with it. You can refocus. That kind of teamwork is something that we don't practice a lot in academia, right? It's just, it's not there. Academia is inherently about creating intelligence, whereas games and sports are really about readiness. And so it's giving you those kind of experiences that are very immersive, that give you the confidence to be able to react when you need to react, and the experience through games on what could be. So if you take two individuals who don't play games and do play games, these cyber games, this individual is not going to hesitate when there's a breach, right? Because they have lived it again and again and again. They have conditioned their emotional response. They have conditioned their mind to continue to go past it and to be able to make decisions and have a clear head during that foggy time. Whereas the other individual is seeing it for the very first time and just trying to learn what's going on. There's going to be more hesitation, more mistakes, less passes, less teamwork, more kind of, I don't want people to know that I don't know what I'm doing kind of thing. So the sports really opens up the individual and gives them that unique experience that conditions them. And those cognitive skills is what's going to make the difference in our future.
Oh, that makes so much sense. I've read a lot of research about how games can build things like problem solving, pattern recognition, resilience. You're right, things that the cyber industry absolutely needs. Have you had any participants, go on, work in the workforce, and then come back to tell you how much the games have affected how they handle, modern situations that come up in the workforce?
Not so much, and likely to be real because of the stage of the career that they're in. And we're just a fairly new program. This is our 6th year, right? So many of them are still, as you may have experienced in your first, I would say, 10 years in the career force, you're on the run. You've got the hustle going on. You're not turning back, right? So I hope to hear it in the future. What we do here, though, is a lot of people who go through the process, they're a little hesitant to begin with. They're like, cyber athletes? Not so sure about that, Jessica, kind of thing. And all the sport pieces of it, we're hackers. But then they start to see it and they see that it does resonate with the common person, if you will, a lot better. And they go through the experience and it's rewarding. Some of them say they'll learn more in 6 weeks at a combine than they did in 2 years. And the reason is they're immersed, they're learning from each other. They're shoulder surfing, they're switching back and forth, they're playing games together. They have that belonging and community that sports and esports really does drive. And so I've heard some positive feedback, but we've seen the results. We have seen them get higher paying jobs. They don't have a problem getting a job, which is good.
A big one.
Yeah, that's huge for right now. We have a great corporate sponsorship kind of community. So when folks are looking, we can put them in front of our sponsors. Our sponsors are often, communicating, here's the next job rec, here's the opportunity. And they get such a network that it's pretty phenomenal.
If you're listening now and you're a prior participant, please let us know. Please tell Miss Jessica all that the successes that you've had, and we'd probably love to have you on the podcast. So just a little plug there. Now, I've noticed schools are starting to incorporate more cyber and esports games, but there's still a pretty big gap between what's taught in the classroom and what the workforce actually needs. Where do you see games fitting that bridge? And how do we make it more accessible for other schools or participants that may not know about US cyber games?
We appreciate the opportunity to do podcasts like this to spread the word of the program to help reach all the schools. We offer a number of different programs through our PlayCyber parent umbrella, if you will, where we reach into the middle school and the high school levels and do agriculture tech days and different summer camps and winter camps, etc., and just CTF games that we have available. I would say that the games are hopefully at the various different levels to provide that pathway for an individual to who has the passion and maybe not the skills yet to really get into the program. One of the things we don't talk a lot about is our pipeline program. Again, like a red shirt program, if you will. The pipeline program are individuals that we identified during the open that are not qualified or chosen to be on the team, but we see a lot of potential with them, and the coaches would like them to stay engaged for future years. This could be a very bright individual who has done very well technically, but is 16 years old and maybe not ready for the global stage. It could be a 22-year-old who has a lot of maturity and promise, but not the technical skills or a lot of the gaming experience. And so the pipeline is a program that runs 2 or 3 months during the spring, virtually again, where they work with the coaches. They go through a very similar program as the combine, it's just elongated. And that allows our coaches to get to know them, for them to understand some of the founding borderline processes, et cetera, and gives them more confidence going into the next season's scouting program to get chosen. That's where we see a lot of change. Some of our best cyber athletes on the team have really started in the pipeline, and they've kind of grown with the program. And that is one of the, I would think, things that I would recommend people to check out and to consider to be part of if you're really interested in this, but you feel like you're not quite ready.
Do they apply directly for this program, or do you have to do the tryouts
You have to do the
and be
tryouts. You go
selected?
through the open. The open is free. It's usually a week and a half, starting in June 4th. Anybody can play that, any age, any citizenship. In fact, this year we're doing something really cool and unique because of the nature of what we do. We have reached out to our international partners and said, hey, throw over some challenges in your native language. Let's bring them into the combine, bring them into the open. And so we're featuring a lot of international challenges this year
Wow.
to give everybody that taste, if you will, of, what does a cyber challenge look like in Germany or in Australia? How is it different? So it's a free process. They can get involved. And then from that application process and from their results and their referrals, that's how we make our decisions.
Amazing. Now, I understand that the US Cyber Games was built with inclusion in mind. What does that look like in practice, and how do you design a competition that feels welcoming to someone who maybe never felt like a cyber person?
It's a great question. Um, I'll keep it real. That is probably a daily struggle. It is not for the reasons you think. Uh, it's not because anybody is trying to uh, be less inclusive. It's just with the program, particularly with the US Cyber team running at such a high and fast pace. There is definitely at times the perspective of not being as inclusive uh, because people don't want to slow down, right? And that happens in every sport as well, if you think about it. Your A team is running very fast. And so sometimes there's some distance between the A and the B team. And it's a matter of how do you onboard, how do you acclimate, et cetera. What we have found that works the best is trying to bring them together in person, right? That giving them more opportunities to engage and learn about each other and play with each other in different ways really opens people up. It's a fascinating situation because in many ways the program is incredibly inclusive and diverse in terms of we bring talent from all over the nation. We've had recruits from many, many different states, backgrounds, cultures, belief systems. We still struggle with the gender gap, if you will, as cyber does in general. But we also have had a good portion of our athletes come from the neurodiverse background. So it's very inclusive in that way. But it can be very challenging because it's a virtual environment. And if you don't know each other personally and you're trying to interpret communications, it doesn't always go well. And two, the top talent is so brilliant at times, it's hard to slow down. So creating mentorship moments, bringing them together for small team activities, practicing your passes, doing training camps, et cetera. Working together opens that up, but it's not something that's magical that happens overnight. It takes work, and it's a constant challenge, and very similarly to the workforce.
Absolutely. And frankly, not every young person has access to the same resources, right? If we start at the root of, what the issue of inclusion, where it starts, you need good internet, mentors, competitive programs. I could see that being absolutely a factor playing into future diversity of the program.
Absolutely. That was really that's why we have the combine too. If you look at combine in sports, it breaks it down to fundamentals, so that you're not completely reliant on your recruiting process of only the people that are winning, right? In sports, if an athlete, if you only recruit from those that put points on the board or get time to play, not all the great athletes have all the great opportunities. Does that make sense? So providing that combine allows people to come in at various different levels and kind of level set and give you that ability to say, are they coachable? This person has extreme depth in cryptography, but they haven't played a lot of CTFs. But I'm seeing that depth. I want to take a chance on that. And that's what the combine is all about.
Amazing. Yeah, it sounds like it can fill that gap that maybe your school is not. And you mentioned starting with middle school. Very cool. Right, for a parent or a teacher listening right now who wants to introduce a young person to cyber but maybe doesn't know where to start, what's your advice? What would the first step be to get them acclimated?
To cyber games in general, there are a lot of resources out there right now. But I think as a parent myself, if one of my children wanted to get into cybersecurity, I would probably set up a call with somebody I know. Here, just have a call with Kennedy and talk to her about her life in cyber and what's that like. And second, I would say maybe take a look at one of these games that are out there and play the game with them. Many times these games are not excessively competitive. You can get in on a Jeopardy game and just break down the questions with them and kind of have a great conversation and leverage it. It can be very accessible from that standpoint.
With that said, are there any non-technical skills that you find are, make someone exceptional in this field? Maybe it's an interest in math or
I would say pattern matching. Strong math skills are a good indicator. There are a variety of different types of skills and challenges that are needed. I mean, if you think of cybersecurity as being more of, there's the technical pieces of it, but there's also the strategic and communication and visual pieces of it as well. So there's tons of opportunity. We're all about being able to control insecure behaviors online. Because of that, there's this understanding the mental profile, if you will, of the actors online. There's the visualizations of the tremendous amount of data out there. There's working with AI. There is doing security policy and auditing. There's also the technical builds and building of exploits and breaking down of different controls. There's such a variety of different opportunities out there, and the pay is quite well, and that's usually what parents are most attracted to. They want a career field that their child can go after that will sustain their lifestyle and make them quote unquote successful, if you will. So there's great opportunity out there.
absolutely. Now you've been at this for years, building programs, growing communities, advocating for new talent. What does success look like to you, say 10 years from now? And how would you know that you've, made it?
Oh, I typically say, and it still holds true. I'll know that I've made it when cyber is considered an esport, and that's really what I'm going after. And it's not so much the matter of esport programs acknowledging it as it is it becoming more of a mainstream spectator sport of teams competing online. When that happens, and we can really start talking about the different strategies and tactics that they're leveraging at a high level, not just at a technical level, and understanding the implications to our companies and to our data and to ourselves, then I think that we have reached it. And I think we're close. We're definitely gaining ground, and um, there's a lot more overlap going on between esports or video games and cybersecurity than there ever has been in the past, and it's definitely going in that direction.
Amazing. Now, as cybersecurity continues to grow and become, a common career slowly, I think we will see more of that, the gaming brought up. All right. Well, Jessica, I've really enjoyed this conversation. We're going to go ahead and close out with our rapid fire questions. Are you ready?
Oh, am I ready? Okay, let's try.
All right. If you were a type of malware, what would you be and why?
That's a great question. I think that I would want to actually create my own malware, to be honest with you. Call it brainware, call it something else, but unlike the normal malware that would steal your data or lock you out of your system, I'd be one that locks you into a game and kind of tricks you into learning, if you will, so that you have to get stronger and be more aware to unplug from it. But in the whole time, you're really kind of connecting more and more with the community players out there. So it'll be very addictive. I think that's what I'd be. Some kind of new type of malware that connects you and helps you learn. So it's the good and the bad together, if you will.
I love that. Instead of paying me, 20 million Bitcoin, play this game.
Yeah,
All
exactly.
right, who's the bigger threat, the outside attacker or the insider?
It's definitely still the insider. I think the outside attacker we can find. We look for motives. There's a lot of tools out there, but it's the insider. Uh, whether intentional or because of mistakes, insiders create some of the most challenging cyber risks still.
Last question. Is the average person more secure or protected today than they were 10 years ago or less?
Hmm. They're more secure, but they're also more exposed. The question to me really is
Hmm.
around AI and how AI changes the game. I feel like more and more the average person is learning AI and learning how to speak to the machine, if you will. And as a outcome of that, the machine is learning more and more about them. So the real question isn't, will AI in the future make us safer 10 years from now? It's whether this new relationship that we start to create with computers, if that changes kind of the whole dynamic of security in the future.
An episode topic for another day.
Yes, absolutely.
Great. Thank you so much, Jessica, for your time. This was incredible. It was great
I
picking your brain. And we will
appreciate
go
it.
ahead and link your LinkedIn. We'll share all the information about US Cyber Games. So for those listening, if you're interested, please connect with Miss Jessica and, let's get you involved.
Thank you.
Thanks for tuning in. We hope this conversation sparked your curiosity and got you excited about the world of cybersecurity. If you enjoyed this episode, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share with fellow cyber enthusiasts. Have a question or a topic you'd love us to explore? Connect with us on CyberChat's podcast page and join the conversation. Until next time, stay curious and keep the cyber chats going.